Your financial plan should be specific to your family, and that's why I created the Decision Lab framework. There's 5 key decisions that you've got to make to transform your wealth to significance. And the trick is that you can apply this 5 key decision framework to any decision, big or small, that you're making in your life. So let me tell you about Ken. He went through these 5 decisions and it changed his life. The first decision is decide who you are. So Ken was an entrepreneur friend of mine who started his business with his wife and built it up to something that he was really proud of. When he was deciding who he was, he had an identity as an entrepreneur. But above that, he had an identity as a husband and the leader of his family. He also saw himself as someone who gives back to others, someone who is a leader, someone who cares about his community. So those are the things that are important to Ken. The second decision is decide where you are. You might tell me, Sanger, hey, how do I decide where I am? I just am where I am. Yeah, but you've got to decide to do some things about where you are. So in Ken's case, he had a business. It was worth a lot of money. He didn't really know how much money. So we have to decide to go get a valuation, decide to understand what our strengths are, decide upon those strengths as well. It goes to deciding what mindset to have and how to look at ourselves. So we got a valuation and we figured out that a business was worth a little bit more than what he had anticipated. The third decision is decide where you're going. Now, a lot of you have probably set out upon making decisions without even getting to this point, not even knowing where you're going. We didn't do that with Ken. Ken said, okay, where I'm going is I want to have a retirement one day. He's in his 60s, but he wasn't like ready to quit and give it all up. I want to retire one day, be able to travel with my family, take my kids and their kids, so my adult children, on vacations where we can bond as a family. And so we had an idea of how much that was going to cost. Right? We're really precise, in fact, idea of how much that was going to cost. The fourth decision is decide how you're going to get there by understanding in decision 2 how much his business was worth. Ken was able to realize that if he left his business, he could totally fund his lifestyle in the way that he had imagined for himself and his children and his grandchildren. He didn't need to keep working. He didn't need to double the size of the business. He didn't need to invest a bunch of money into R&D. He was fine where he was as long as he could find a buyer for the business. The second part of that, decide how you're going to get there, is if he just gives up his business, he's giving up his entire identity, right? So that's not necessarily the best thing. That's where he's getting his sense of meaning, purpose, social connection, not to mention the money, right? The fifth decision is where it all came together for Ken, and that is decide who matters. Of course his children matter to him. Of course his wife matters to him. Of course his grandchildren matter to him. But there was another group of people that mattered to him a lot. One was his employees. He wanted to make sure that they were taken care of when he sold the business. And he did. He made sure that they were able to share in the profits, since the business sold for much more than he actually needed to fund his lifestyle. And then 2, the other group that mattered is young entrepreneurs in his community. He wanted to make sure that he didn't just sell his business and go sit on the beach for the rest of his life. He started coaching and training and giving back to people who were 3-4 decades behind him in their entrepreneurial journey. And to this day, Ken thanks me for going through that 5 key decision framework with him, because he says, I was in no place to sell my business. I wouldn't have sold it. I wasn't even thinking about it. But deciding to sell freed him up to live the life that brought him ultimate significance. So a lot of us, when we're faced with a big decision, it's really a how decision. It's how am I going to get there, right? What marketing strategy should I use to get more clients? What investment strategy should I use to get the most return? Those are how decisions. You got to make how decisions, but before you do, you have to go through the first 3. Decide who you are, decide where you are, and decide where you're going. Only then, with the appropriate context, can I decide how I'm going to get there. And then after that, I still have one more And that's who matters. Whether it's your family, your employees, your community like Ken, or charitable causes that are important to you. So there you go. I hope that can help you make better decisions and defeat bad decision making.